Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Walking Dead. Well, kind of, because Monkey and Satsu are both sick, kind of. But also the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pain, living up to his name, the Ranting Monkey.
Hey, guys.
And the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
What up, Dal?
And I am your Lord of Punishment, Scribe. Thank you, Point Curation. Computer money. Well, thank you again, though. I appreciate it. I'm fine. I don't require any computer money, but I am appreciative. Thank you so much. Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing far better than my co-hosts are. I hope your week is going well so far and that you are warm wherever you are, because I am fucking freezing up here. It is cold. Monkey would hate it, even though it's probably cold where he is, too.
It's cold outside where I am. Inside is toasty warm.
Monkey,
Right.
It's cold outside.
But I had to go outside today, so that sucked.
Oh, boy. Well, how are you guys? Well, I kind of already gave away how you guys are doing, but hey, Satsu, how are you feeling?
I've been feeling better.
Okay.
I have some issues with my throat. It was super dry when I woke up, and I've been trying to drink stuff to clear it up and everything, but it literally burns when I talk. So I'm gonna be hanging out with you guys in the chat.
Yeah. So Satsu is going to be our chat captain tonight. Monkey, how are you doing?
Sore, but happy.
Good. And how is this? Was it Sunky or Clunky? I forget who it was that got the appendix.
The youngest. That would be Sunky, I think is what you guys named him.
Yeah.
My youngest child, my youngest son, had his appendix out yesterday, went home today. They actually would have released him yesterday, they said, if he lived at home with us or something, but being his first surgery and the fact that he's a college student, they want to make sure, if anything happened at night, they didn't want to have to worry about a 21-year-old college student saying, I can sit this one out. I don't have to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So yeah, they let him go pretty much immediately this morning. He's not taking any pain pills. He took one right after. Apparently, when he woke up yesterday, he woke up a little sooner than they thought, and he was in excruciating pain. So they gave him a whole bunch of drugs, and that was the last time he's actually taken pain medicine. So,
All right.
He's sore, he keeps saying, which I'm like, yeah. He says, I feel like I've done just a whole bunch of crunches. Like, yeah. It's actually more like you've been stabbed a few times, my son. But
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. How you doing, Scribbles?
Well, in relative terms to all that, I'm fine. I caught up somewhat on my sleep last night after a very sleepless Sunday night. Work was very busy. Still having a lot of issues to try to fix with stuff. Had a new employee come in today, a new salesperson, so I got to meet him. And yeah, I guess that's about as exciting as it gets for me right now. But all that aside, also I had I took a note from last night's conversation about Monkey's gilded ability to invite people onto the show, unlike me, of course. And so
all it takes is having no shame, man.
Yeah, I got inspired, and I sent out a tweet to the real James Woods randomly. I was just thinking, like, what ridiculous possibility might I try in inviting somebody onto the show? And for whatever reason, the first name that popped in my mind was James Woods, as he's a frequent Twitterer. And I hashtagged it, you don't know if you don't ask, kind of thing. So, there you go. Thank you, Krampus from Kansas. Is Monkey the reincarnation of Wolfman Jack? If only Monkey had Wolfman Jack's voice. You know what Wolfman Jack is, don't you?
Oh yeah, I know Wolfman Jack. Yeah, he's actually on one of the recent episodes of Married with Children I was rewatching. They went on a cruise with Gilbert Gottfried, and Wolfman Jack's the one who presented them their tickets.
You know how much? So I I remember Wolfman Jack the most because of the Wolfman Jack cartoon show.
Oh God, I didn't even know he had one.
Did you know he had a cartoon show? Yeah, and he was actually a wolfman. He was actually like a werewolf kind of thing.
Nice.
And he did the voice and everything. It was great. But yeah, Wolfman Jack is something that is a person, an icon that I think most people, even people our age, might not even have any idea about. But yeah. But anyway, if you have an opportunity, you have no idea who we're talking about, look up Wolfman Jack sometime and listen to his voice. His voice very distinct. His and Stan Lee's voice, I think, were the two most distinctive voices I recall of my childhood. Like I knew exactly who that was as soon as I heard the voice. It was one of the rare instances where I heard somebody's voice without having to see their face when I was a kid, and I knew who it was. But anyway, all that aside, Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games. Hit that like button if you have not already, and a good number of you have not. Could we get to 100 likes before the end of the first half hour? We tried that last time and almost made it. I'd like to see if we can get it like in the first half hour, maybe in the first 15 minutes. That'd be great too. And share our stuff. Please, please, please share the link to the streams and the gaming streams that Monkey and Satsu do and our other content. As we mentioned before, many a time, YouTube is of very little help in spreading the word about content creators, especially the smaller ones and the ones that you like, us and otherwise. And so you guys are our best algorithm for spreading the word, more or less. So appreciate that. Anything else we need to talk about and or plug before we move on? Tonight's your guys' night off from gaming, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So no, nothing else.
All right. Well, Monkey, if you would be so kind as to predicate the top story of tonight by reading the tweet from Michael AveNot from yesterday.
Yes, give me 1 second.
Sure.
Here.
If you have that handy, because our top story deals with Michael AveNot, if the title of the stream did not give that away.
He actually had several from yesterday.
Well, the key one.
The one that where is it? Is this the one? Yeah. In one breath, certain media outlets state I will have no bearing on the 2020 race and I am not a threat. But they continue to write clickbait hit pieces meant to discredit me. Which one is it? Because it can't be both. If I am not a threat, go do pieces on other viable candidates.
Thank you, Krampus from Kansas. Wolfman Jack and Casey Kasem are the Mount Rushmore of radio. You're right, actually, Casey Kasem. And we're counting them down, or whatever. Actually, or American Bandstand. All that good stuff. Oh, wait, that was Dick Clark. What am I talking about? Casey Kasem. Well, he was also the voice of Shaggy.
Yes. Casey's Top 40.
Casey's Top 40. So anyway, that was Michael AveNot yesterday.
Yes.
Here is his statement of just a few hours ago. After consultation with my family and at their request, I have decided not to seek the presidency of the United States in 2020. I do not make this decision lightly. I make it out of respect for my family. But for their concerns, for their concerns, I would run. I will continue to represent Stormy Daniels, even though she's denied that you actually represent her, and others against Donald Trump and his cronies, and I will not rest until Trump is removed from office and our republic and its values are restored. I will also continue with my nearly 20 years of speaking truth to power.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your clients in the Kavanaugh case there, Michael, and representing those who need an advocate against the powerful. I remain concerned that the Democratic Party will move toward nominating an individual who might make an exceptional president, but has no chance of actually beating Donald Trump. You know what, Michael? I agree with you. Not that I'm concerned so much, just that I imagine that is a distinct possibility.
It's what's likely to happen, yeah.
Most likely to happen, yeah. The party must immediately recognize that many of the likely candidates are not battle-tested and have no real chance at winning. We will not prevail in 2020 without a fighter. I remain hopeful the party finds one.
Several things there. One, they are battle tested far more than you are, Michael. With the exception, no, even Hillary's won a race before. She won a Senate race.
Yes, though it was pretty much stacked in her favor, but sure.
Yeah, it wasn't a fair fight, but it was a fight. Let's give credit where due. At least they have all run races before.
She's battled the vast right-wing conspiracy for years.
You know who hasn't done any of that? Michael AveNot.
Oh, shush you. He's defending Stormy Daniels and the Republic and its true values.
We're gonna have to talk about that here in a few minutes too.
Yeah.
So last week, Stormy Daniels comes out and says, I forget who she was talking to. Was it Variety? I don't fucking remember.
Something.
She gave an interview where she mentioned that she kept trying to get an accounting of the $580,000 that had been raised for her, and AveNot wouldn't give her one. And she also claimed that there's different accounts of this, whether she said she didn't want the defamation suit to go through, or whether she just said, or she just didn't give her permission for it. But either way, the suggestion that she wasn't real happy that the defamation suit she eventually lost was even filed in the first place. Michael AveNot went quiet, mostly quiet for a few days there. And he came back on the second with the post, "The reports of my death are greatly exaggerated."
Yeah. Did you see my response to that?
I did not.
I was a snarky one. I said, I hadn't heard you were dead. I have heard that you are debt.
True story. Him and Stormy have made up. They made up yesterday.
Did they have makeup sex?
No, well, kind of. He screwed her.
Yeah, he's a lawyer.
I'm going to put a link in chat here if you guys want to see it. He actually publicly released the breakdown of the fees that he's been paying with that $580,000.
All right.
The total comes up to $637,000. So he's actually doing a lot of this out of his own money, y'all.
Oh.
Now, notable among these charges, $352,000 in security.
In security?
Yeah, hiring security for them to go all around the country. We also find out from reading the statement here that Michael AveNot bills at about $700 an hour.
Jesus. Well, at least that's less than the transgender general practitioner from Britain we were talking about last night.
But here's the best part of this statement where he now, remember, Stormy said she wanted an accounting of where that money went. Michael immediately comes up with an accounting of where that money went. That is complete fabricated bullshit, Michael. We all know it. But here's my favorite part of this, because he released this where the revenue went. At the very bottom, the last paragraph says, in addition to the time above, we've had I'm sorry, it's in the second to last paragraph. Importantly, these figures do not include any time spent on TV interviews or shows, nor do they include any time spent responding to journalists seeking comment for various publications, despite the fact that we believe much of this time benefited the legal efforts.
Wow.
This motherfucker, he's like, look, I ain't charging for all that free TV time I got. This dude has some balls. No brains in his head, but he's got some balls.
Well, you know who's got an opinion on what else Michael AveNot has done?
Who's that?
Well, our favorite friend at CNN, Chris Cillizza.
Oh, this should be. Did this come out after his
yes
announcement?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, I'm actually. Okay. I told Scribe before the show, guys, because I'm telling you, I'm feeling it today, and I'm down. So you get me talking about AveNot, and I will pep right the fuck up.
AveNot is to Ranting Monkey what spinach is to Popeye.
Yes.
All right.
I'm ready for the beatdown. Let's go, bitch. You lying cocksucker. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So this is the analysis by Chris Cillizza, the CNN editor-at-large.
Mm-hmm.
And it was updated as of 3:27 p.m. Eastern time. So it's after he's made his announcement, Michael Avenatti, that he's not running anymore. The headline is, "The big favor Michael Avenatti actually did for Democrats." Okay. What I mean by dropping out? I don't know.
Maybe. I could see a case for that, but go ahead.
All right. And this is from Chris. And just like that, he is gone. Michael Avenatti, I mean. The lawyer for porn star Stormy Daniels announced on Tuesday that he was ending his consideration of a presidential bid just a few months after he admitted he was actively thinking about running. And then they repeat the same announcement that I just did, or a piece of it. There's a tendency to roll your eyes and dismiss the whole thing as the worst of politics. After all, Avenatti got famous by repping an adult film actress who has alleged that she had an affair with President Donald Trump in the mid-2000s. He used that notoriety to catapult himself into a cable TV regular, including on CNN, and from that to a possible presidential bid. It was the most 2018 thing possible. It's the lowest common denominator stuff that people hate but watch about politics in this day, which you know quite a bit about, Chris, don't you?
Indeed.
But don't be so quick to dismiss Avenatti. Okay. Yes, he was brought low in the absolutely most predictable way, a series of financial and legal disputes where he was on the losing end, and then the big one. Excuse me.
Time out. Not paying your rent is not a financial dispute. That's not paying your fucking rent.
Well, it's dispute over whether he has to pay it, I guess. Or at least from the guy that he owes the money to. And then the big one, an arrest for suspicion of domestic abuse last month. The Los Angeles District Attorney declined to charge him with a felony, but sent the case to the city attorney's office, where misdemeanor charges are still being considered. Even Avenatti allies, and yes, he has built up a few political friends during his travels to Iowa and New Hampshire in the summer and early fall, began to abandon him. For a time, even he and Daniels clashed, as she suggested that he might have been seeking to take financial advantage of her popularity. No.
Really?
But none of that is what made Avenatti matter. Okay, guys, here we go. We're getting to the point, as it were. Okay. And he did matter for this simple reason. All right, guys, here it comes. He forced the Democratic Party to start the debate over what sort of person should be the nominee in 2020.
No, he didn't.
He didn't do that, guys. Hillary did that. Because as soon as Hillary lost, the Democratic Party was thinking, who the hell can we put up against Trump? They were doing that 2 years ago.
I'm really curious if Cillizza's going to say it.
Well, don't
I'm waiting.
No spoiler alerts here. Should it be someone who can play the Trump game and get down in the gutter if he chooses to go there? Are you assuming their gender, Chris? Or someone who takes the high road under the theory that A, you can't beat Trump at his own game, and B, people will want a normal politician after 4 years of Trump. Avenatti, in case you have been hiding under a pile of coats for the past 6 months or so, there's a link to the phrase hiding under a pile of coats.
All right.
Dare I ask?
Good night, baby.
Oh, it's a clip of The Simpsons where Homer's talking about hiding under coats. So nothing says high-class journalism on CNN than a clip of The Simpsons, guys.
A hyperlink.
A hyperlink to The Simpsons, yeah. In case you have been hiding under a pile of coats for the past 6 months or so, was very much in the we need our own Trump to beat Trump camp, okay? Quote, so I say when they go low, we hit harder, Avenatti told a New Hampshire crowd over the summer. You're not going to beat Donald Trump through a message of universal love, he told a Vanity Fair reporter in October. If that means that we have to crawl down in the gutter and trade shots with this guy in order to ensure that he's not reelected, well, then that's what we gotta do, unquote. Even in ending his presidential bid, Avenatti warned Democrats not to go soft on Trump. And he talks about, I'm concerned the Democratic Party will move forward with an individual who might not make the so.
Chris,
Well,
you dirty bitch.
what we-
Okay. He left out the part about how it needs to be a white man.
Thank you, Ethan Long. Quote, might take financial advantage of her popularity. Wasn't that the point of the representing her in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was the moral
No.
imperative, Ethan.
Yeah, as he said when he released the statement about how he spent the money, this was all just because it was doing the right thing.
Let's see. The early attention and support AveNot secured, which frankly surprised me, was evident. It surprised you, Chris? Really? Was evidence that his message of anything goes when it comes to Trump and 2020 touched a chord with at least some chunk of Democratic base voters.
Really?
The AveNot boomlet, such as it was. Okay, Chris, first you say, AveNot was the most 2018 thing ever, and then you're surprised that he was a thing. Okay.
As far as I'm aware,
yes,
I have been the biggest supporter of a Michael AveNot presidential run.
You have been one of the most vocal, yes.
I am not a Democrat, and it has nothing to do with thinking he could beat President Trump.
No, the entertainment value alone is all I'd be looking for. Okay, the AveNot boomlet, such as it was more proof of something that has become increasingly clear over the past 18 months. In the eyes of the Democratic base, there is no such thing as too far, too low, or too mean when it comes to Trump. That is true. I will give you that.
It's been that way since Trump announced for the presidency, though.
Yeah, pretty much. They believe so deeply that Trump has debased the culture that there is nothing that can be off limits in the campaign to oust him. Nothing. You are right, Chris. Anybody who has been alive or out from under a pile of coats since what? June of 2015 knows that. So while AveNot embraced that idea to the extreme, R.I.P. Poochie? Is this a link to another Simpsons thing? It is.
You also had another super chat there.
Thank you, Johnny Hellcat. AveNot talking about getting hard has to be a pun. A pun or just a inherent an oxymoron, let's say. Okay, any Democrat running for the right to take on Trump in 2 years will have to grapple with the anger and rage within the party toward the president. Simply saying that you disagree with the things Trump has done as president almost certainly won't be enough for Democratic voters who just want to beat Trump but also embarrass him. The flip side, of course, is that playing too much to the party's angry base could jeopardize the chances of the eventual nominee beating Trump, or maybe not. Well, good way to hedge your bets there, Chris. Good job. The point, we are having this conversation at this moment because of Michael AveNot, and Democrats should thank him for it. Chris, they were having this conversation on November 9th, 2016. They're having this conversation before then because they're like, well, if Hillary loses, what are we going to do in 4 years?
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of people. Anyway, one, Chris, what you missed there is nobody likes a loser. Nobody likes a loser. And for Mr. AveNot, and I can beat Trump, the one time he's faced off against him, he lost.
Yeah.
Badly. The judge laughed him out of the fucking courtroom over it. AveNot he's a moron. That's what made him fun. Man.
Anyway, that's that. We have other news, amazingly enough. There was breaking news right before the stream started.
Oh, what happened?
Well, the short version is that apparently the Mueller investigation, specifically Mueller himself, has advised that Michael Flynn, President Trump's first national security advisor, should not receive any jail time due to the substantial amount of cooperation and information he has provided the investigation.
Okay.
Which is interesting, except that whatever he had to say is apparently going to be under seal for the time being, so we won't know. Let's see.
Okay, go ahead.
Michael T. Flynn, President Trump's first national security advisor, helped substantially with the special counsel's investigation and should receive little to no prison time for lying to federal investigators, according to court documents filed on Tuesday. Prosecutors for the special counsel, Robert S. Mueller III, described Mr. Flynn as a key cooperator who helped the Justice Department with several investigations, sitting for 19 interviews with Mr. Mueller's office and other prosecutors and handing over documents and communications. Quote, his early cooperation was particularly valuable because he was one of the few people with long-term and first-hand insight into the subject of Mr. Mueller's investigation, Russia's election interference, and whether any Trump associates conspired, prosecutors wrote in a sentencing recommendation memorandum. Mr. Flynn pleaded guilty a year ago to lying to the FBI about conversations he had with the Russian ambassador to the United States at the time, Sergei I. Kislyak. So there's that. I mean, we won't know exactly what his substantial help is because it's under seal. I'm no legal expert. I don't know how significant it is that they're asking for no jail time. But I suppose you would have to have handed over something really good or just, really perform well to get them to say nope.
Or it's the fact that a lot of people think that what Flynn was in trouble for, I'm using the air quotes, wasn't meaningful to begin with.
That could be true too, yeah. Or it could also be sort of psychological warfare to anybody else that wants to get in on this before, the hammer comes down on them. If you cooperate and give over everything, you might not actually have to serve any time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 100 likes. 100 likes before the end of the first half hour. Yay!
I think at this point Mueller is just he's stalling to try to find that big case that'll let him slink out of this with dignity.
I don't know. They better come up with something soon because we're going into what, our third year of it in about 2 weeks or something, or 2 weeks, a month. Something needs to come out of this. And I'm not just talking about that like as a defender of Trump or something, like end the witch hunt or something. I'm just saying that on a practical level, this much time, this much investigation, this much money spent of taxpayer dollars, if there's not a resolution or at least something that says, here is the fruit this investigation has borne, at least to this point, that would either say we're done or this justifies further work. I don't know. I don't know if people or the country or anybody else on a reasonable level has any tolerance for this length of nonsense. Unless you tell us it's not nonsense and can show us that there's something there. But
anyway. Yeah, I mean, we're coming into 3 years. How long is Mueller himself? He's been around, what, year and a half, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
We've had numerous congressional investigations, and nothing to show for it. Even with the ability of this prosecutor to grant blanket immunity, basically for anybody involved, literally countless resources, and the ability to investigate anything. He still hasn't come up with anything substantial as regards to what he was put there for. He's supposed to be looking at Russian collusion, guys. That's the keywords here.
Yeah. We've seen people indicted for things that they did prior to Trump ever running for president, or things that they did that were sort of concurrent to Trump running for president, but weren't directly related to like Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have anything to do with the Trump campaign in a direct manner, and he was dealing with business dealings in Moscow. The only thing that Michael Cohen's testimony does is conceivably have Trump being deceptive and saying that he had no business dealings with Russia or Moscow.
Well, and even with that, if you look into what all happened around that, Cohen came out and said that he may have lied, or was it Cohen that may have lied?
Yeah.
I don't remember. The whole business dealing thing, what it revolves around is months, January or June, I forget which one, of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And when the story broke the other day, it was all, this might implicate Trump's kids. But according to what we know, what little we know about like Don Jr.'s testimony, he is known to have said that, you know, by June of 2016, it was all wound down. So there's no smoking gun there, other than maybe Cohen said the wrong dates, or he was still involved when Trump was like, I don't fucking know what's going on over there. Yeah. This was all something that was run by his kids. It was actually for Ivanka.
Right. So anyway, short version, something has happened in the investigation. We don't know what or to what extent. And if we ever find out, I don't know. But as always, we will keep on it. Gosh, I got a couple more stories, but we're at the bottom of the hour. I'll save these for maybe deep topic time if we run out of other things to talk about. Because now, being the second half hour, and thank you guys so much for the likes, we're going to jump right into MSS News. So everyone, if you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise we'll get to them all, but that's because you guys inundate us with so many of them that we'll never have time to get to all of them. Now let's see what Twitter does when I take the filter off. Is it going to put things in order? Looks like it might have. All right. Excuse me. So this one comes from Ayana. Let's see. 3 arrested after FedEx truck driver allegedly hit Brooklyn funeral mourner, sparking a melee. A brawl broke out on a Brooklyn street Monday afternoon. How many times has that sentence been said? After a FedEx driver allegedly struck a person in a funeral procession. 2 FedEx employees, including the driver, were arrested, as was one of the mourners. Around 1 p.m., mourners were outside the Beit El Makids, I know I'm mispronouncing that, Islamic Center at Sunset Park when a FedEx truck driver struck a 46-year-old man in the group. The truck driver was backing up on 6th Avenue by 63rd Street when he hit the pedestrian. Cell phone video allegedly shows the truck driver clipping the man. Mosque board member Naeem Jawad said the driver, quote, appeared to be impatient because of so many people. He kept moving and he hit one of the members that was crossing the street, unquote. Immediately following the collision, outraged mourners reportedly blocked the truck and the FedEx driver, and another employee left the vehicle. Sorry, what? What? How does that sentence work? Reportedly blocked the truck, and the FedEx driver and another employee left the vehicle to confront the crowd. Okay. Anyway, police say that during the melee, the truck driver, Andrew Blount, had a knife or a box cutter and cut a 56-year-old mourner's hand, while his colleague, Omar Lindsay, took out a fire extinguisher and used it to hit a mourner.
Jesus.
Both were arrested and charged with felony assault. Abdel Hamid Abdel Quadas, a 23-year-old mourner, was arrested for allegedly punching one of the employees. He was reportedly charged with misdemeanor assault. The individual who was struck by the car sustained, quote, minor injuries, and other people were injured in the fight. So, yeah, that sounds like New York hospitality, maybe? Anyway. Who else do we have? We got one from... Oh, Jack Cochran sent us the story about Flynn getting no jail time, or being advised not to get jail times. Thank you, Jack Cochran. This one comes from Captain Brambles. Luke Skywalker. And I said those 3 words individually because that is this guy's name. Gets arrested while Mark Hamill jokes.
Nice.
No, the Force was not with him. Luke Skywalker. Okay, parents, don't do that to your child. And it's not as bad as Absidy, but it's up there. It's up there. 21 was arrested Thursday by police in Elizabethton, Tennessee, for a probation violation in connection with a felony theft charge. The jailbird namesake of the Jedi Master was then taken into custody at the Probation and Parole Office before being taken to the Carter County Detention Center. Even Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker in the iconic Star Wars film series, commented that the arrest was a little out of this world. Ha ha ha. Quote, the real crime here is Mr. and Mrs. Walker saddling this poor guy with that name in the first place. Hamill tweeted.
Oh, wow.
I do agree. I do agree, Mark. That is a very good observation. Hamill also took a shot at Walker's height of 5'6", seemingly pointing out that if he doesn't have that he doesn't have a future with the dark side either, by adding to his tweet, quote, hashtag also too short for a stormtrooper.
That's a joke from the movie. Come on.
That's great. That's great. I feel, oh God. Hamill's tweet had been retweeted more than 1,900 times as of early Monday and generated plenty of puns for Star Wars aficionados. Quote, I feel worse for his sister, Anna Kin, one tweet read. Quote, it is realistically an impossible name to live up to, another read. Yes. Anna Kin. Anyway. Moving on, that is an ad from NBC. No, NBC, you're the guys that spiked my video because I used Eddie Murphy clip. Thanks, NBC. Let's see, we did one there. This one comes from senior staff reporter and chief Florida correspondent, Colleen Bernier. No, I don't want to pay to subscribe to your thing. Accused sex toy swiper gets bad vibes in Vero Beach.
Okay.
No, I do not want to pay for. How many ads? I hate that stuff. Anyway, Vero Beach. A person accused of swiping purple sex toys may not be picking up good vibrations after being arrested. Jesse Ernest Thompson, 38, was jailed on a theft charge after the November 14th alleged intimate item imbroglio at a CVS in the 1700 block of US 1. Do CVSs sell sex toys?
I don't know.
Let's see. The case began when a man later identified as Thompson was thought to have absconded with a purple box of condoms. Okay, that's not a sex toy, but Vero Beach police were told Thompson emptied the box in his shirt and ran to the bathroom. In the bathroom, however, the only thing that turned up was, quote, the barcode for a purple personal massager. Okay.
All right.
Thompson was described as a white male with a black shirt and blue plaid shorts riding a bicycle. Investigators spotted a man matching the description. Thompson was found with, quote, 2 purple vibrators valued at $35.49. He was taken to jail. Rather than telling the police to buzz off, Thompson said he would speak with investigators. He said someone put the purple pleasuring devices by some brushes in the area of CVS, and he decided to take them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story.
Hey, guys.
Yes.
We got a birthday.
Oh, whose birthday?
It's Mama Satsu's birthday.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Is she listening?
I just got off the phone with her, and she should be listening now.
Well, Monkey, you have much more of an affinity for Mama Satsu, so I think you need to do the routine.
I feel bad because this is not going to be my best. I'm going to try anyway because I do love me some Mama Satsu. Mama Satsu got a nice ass, y'all. She do. She showed it to me on stream.
I'm not laughing at her. I'm just,
I want to clarify that she didn't get on a private stream with me and show me her ass. She showed everybody her butt when I asked about it on Satsu's stream. And Mama Satsu, I will forever love you for that, and for that, and so many other reasons. This one goes out to you, and a 1 and a 2. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Mama.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm sick, so I sound like crap.
Happy birthday, dear Mama Satsu.
Mama Satsu.
And your cute little butt.
Happy
birthday To
To
you. Satsu, how come you didn't say anything after that last one?
He's dead.
Because it would have hurt.
Happy birthday, Mama Satsu. I hope you had a wonderful birthday. I really do.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mom.
By the way, you got a nice kid. You done good, Mama Satsu. You really did.
Let's see. This one comes from Froggy. I saw this story, I think, yesterday. Froggy says, if I can't read the whole thing, because it does go on a while, read the bottom paragraph. Oh, and now they want me to subscribe. No. Let me see. What do you say? If you can't read the whole article, go down about 15 paragraphs for a little extra detail. Well, the headline is Philadelphia-born U.S. citizen claims he was illegally detained by ICE. 15 paragraphs, you say? Okay. I'll read the first couple. A Philadelphia-born U.S. citizen says he was illegally detained by ICE and was threatened with deportation to Jamaica. According to a lawsuit filed Monday, Brown? You didn't even give his name before you just use his last name. You have to give us his name. Okay, Brown, whatever his actual name is, repeatedly told authorities that he was a U.S. citizen, but he was still held in custody in Monroe County, Florida, and threatened that he would be sent to a Jamaican prison. Brown, whose name we still don't know, who lives in the Florida Keys and works in the restaurant industry, is suing Monroe County Sheriff Rick Ramsey nearly 8 months after the incident occurred in April. Brown turned himself into the sheriff's office for a probation violation when he tested positive for marijuana. Rather than being in jail until the probation violation was resolved, however, he was threatened with being deported. Okay, and so what's the gist here? Let's see. The lawsuit claims he was held illegally and later transferred to Miami to the Chrome Immigrant Detention Center, where people are held before they are deported. Brown was only released from Chrome after his roommate emailed his birth certificate to an ICE officer at the detention center. According to a statement from the ACLU, 17 Florida sheriffs participate in an ICE detention program that pays counties $50 for each person they hold for ICE. $50 to a county. That's a major incentive just to arrest people off the street, I tell you what.
Yeah, that's what it was. They needed that $50.
The agreement, called Basic Ordering Agreements, or BOAs, shield counties from liability even when they violate constitutional rights, the ACLU said. The lawsuit argues Ramsey violated Brown's Fourth Amendment rights when they held him illegally. The lawsuit says that another officer told Brown while he was detained that Ramsey previously detained another U.S. citizen for ICE for almost a year before it was determined he was a citizen, which is all hearsay, unless you've got proof of that. So, okay, well, I don't know. It all sounds very messy. Let's see. Moving on. This one comes from Massive Dynamics, who has changed the avatar to a snowflake. Are you trying to tell us something, Massive? Woman turns can of hairspray into a makeshift blowtorch to burn items in a store because the owner refused to give her free beer.
What?
That headline is a novel in and of itself. Police are searching for a woman who made a can of hairspray into a makeshift blowtorch and used it to damage items in a Philadelphia store after the owner refused to give her beer for free. The incident happened at 10:30 a.m. 10:30 a.m. She wanted some beer. All right. In the Wincote Beer Deli, I guess that's where you would have to go, in Philadelphia on November 20th, when the unidentified woman wanted beer but couldn't buy it because she had no money. Store owner Yang Lin told NBC that the woman became angry and threw glass towards him when he wouldn't give her the beer free of charge. I said, quote, "You need to get out of here, you know?" She was more angry. She seen me go out, so she wanted to fight me, Lin said. He said he had seen the woman in the store before, but that she wasn't a regular. Quote, "If this spray into my face, I think my eyes is gone. She's so crazy," Lin added. He said he had to run from the counter to avoid being burned. Lin has been on the job for 10 years and said he's never experienced anything like it and hopes other stores in the neighborhood won't be targeted. The surveillance video shows the woman taking a can of hairspray from a pocketbook, and bashing in the serving window before making it into a makeshift blowtorch after igniting the aerosol with a lighter. This bitch be crazy, yo.
This was at a store?
Yeah, it's like a little bodega, a little mom and pop, little deli store. Yeah, so she takes this thing, she smashes the glass window between her and the guy. The glass goes flying towards his face. Then she turns into a blowtorch and starts using it on just stuff in the store.
All right.
What a nutbag. And there's plenty of video. You can clearly see her face. She's very distinctive, got big red feminist hair. So, yeah. I hope they catch her. That's ridiculous.
Hey, Scribe.
Yes.
Mama Satsu just called me and she said you guys are fucking awesome.
Oh,
we love you, Mama Satsu.
You're awesome, Mama Satsu. Thanks for watching. Thanks for having such a great kid.
She was all excited. She was like, I was getting pumped, and Monkey said I showed my ass, and I was like, oh God, no.
I clarified.
It's true.
She said she's glad you clarified.
Sometimes I forget how my words come out when I first say them.
Mm-hmm.
What, you not having a filter? What?
Yeah, indeed.
Let's see. We'll do a couple more here. This one comes from Frosted Glass. Actually, I'll probably go a little longer because I know there's not much that Satsu's going to have to say. Frosted Glass sends us this one. John Dingle. Yeah, you don't know John Dingle is. He's the longest serving member in the history of Congress to this point. John Dingle. To fix Congress, abolish the Senate.
Of course.
And this comes from Vox.com, who are all experts in these things. John Dingle knows a thing or two about how Congress works. First elected to the U.S. House of Representatives at age 29 in a 1955 special election. He was 29 and 55, guys. Just do the math. Dingle left office in January 2015, nearly 60 years later. The last president he served with, Barack Obama, was born 6 years after Dingle entered office. His tenure was the longest in the history of the House or Senate, outlasting stalwarts like Strom Thurmond and Ted Kennedy by more than a decade. So his call to abolish the Senate, announced in an Atlantic excerpt from his new memoir, is pretty notable. Not really, but anyway, he pairs the proposal with a set of more familiar, often vague, good government suggestions like the elimination of money in campaigns, automatic voter registration, and protection of an independent press. Don't necessarily argue with those notions. Abolishing the Senate is far more specific and dramatic than the rest of his list. His argument is familiar, rooted in the institution's failure to equally represent Americans regardless of where they live. Quote, the Great Compromise, as it was called when it was adopted by the Constitution's framers, required that all states, big and small, have 2 senators. The idea that Rhode Island needed 2 U.S. senators to protect itself from being bullied by Massachusetts emerged under a system that governed only 4 million Americans. Today, in a nation of more than 325 million and 37 additional states, not only is that structure antiquated, it's downright dangerous. California has almost 40 million people, while the 20 smallest states have a combined population totaling less than that. Yet because of an 18th century political deal, those 20 states have 40 senators, while California has just 2. Okay.
What?
John.
Did you get your super chat then?
No, because I'm looking. Thank you, James Colley. This chick gets my vote for Sharia law. Oh, the blowtorch girl.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I don't have 2 screens like some fancy people here, so I got to have one thing open and one of the other. John, if the whole idea is that no state has more weight and say in the government than any other state, that the concerns of California do not overtake the concerns of the Midwest states all combined because they've got more people. That's the idea.
It's a fucking republic.
Yeah, I don't know how better it has to be explained. How many times that we have that conversation?
You want to fix it if this is actually your goal and you're looking at how California, you feel is being screwed in this whole situation, stop putting so much importance on the federal fucking government.
Well, not only that, but here's the thing. Okay, this is how I've always thought of this. Okay, these guys keep talking about the population of the states. Okay,
Yeah.
the states themselves are individual entities.
Yes.
Okay, it doesn't matter how many people are there. The state is an individual entity as part of the union. Okay, just because Kansas is less populated than California does not make Kansas less important to the union than California.
Well, that's what I was getting at with making the federal government less important, because if we were being governed the way we're supposed to, the federal government would be some. Do you guys know how often Congress used to meet? And yeah, part of it was because they had to travel all across the country by fucking carriage, but they didn't need to be there all the time because they weren't that important. Most of what governed your normal day-to-day life came from your state or your local government. That's how it should be. You wouldn't have to worry about how much power fucking Connecticut has compared to California if these guys weren't up there day after day droning on about how they can control our fucking lives. Yes, thank you, Chicago Mike. The 10th fucking amendment, or constitutionally guaranteed right to a republic.
Isn't that argument like kind of weird though? Because essentially they're complaining that it works one way, and that's wrong, how only a certain amount of people are being represented. But if it worked the other way, then only specifically those people would be represented. So, I mean, I know they don't think that far because they're not smart enough to do that. But
their new catchphrase, the tyranny of the minority.
Yeah, but we're dealing with that shit with feminism and every other social movement out here. So
I get you. Look, if you guys want it to matter less, it's the same with the Electoral College, because these two arguments actually go hand in hand. And somebody finally started really wait. The Senate's picked the same way. It's based on state or states can just get massive ability to override California. No, you don't. But California doesn't get to dictate to every other goddamn state just because of how many people they have. That's where the House comes into play, jackasses. I fucking hate them. I hate these people. Shut up. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to move on for a bit. This one comes from Tall Person, because we haven't talked about the caravan in the last couple days, I don't think. Let's see. Risking certain detention, caravan migrants breach U.S. border. Well, that's not really news, is it? But this is a story from today, but okay. For weeks now, members of one of the migrant caravans that traveled from Honduras all the way to the southern border of the U.S. have been stuck in a squalid camp in Tijuana as they await their chance to declare asylum or otherwise cross the border. But after weeks of waiting, a period that has been marred by violent attacks on Border Patrol agents and skirmishes with U.S. forces, some have decided that crossing the border to declare asylum in defiance of President Trump's orders is probably the best course of action, according to Reuters. These migrants risk, quote, almost certain detention. Still, many hope that crossing into the U.S. will allow them to declare asylum, even if they are rounded up by some of the thousands of additional troops to the border. How about sent to the border by President Trump? In recent weeks, Trump has championed a policy, Remain in Mexico, that would force asylum applicants in the U.S. to stay on the U.S. side of the border until the court is ready to hear their case. I thought it was on Remain in Mexico. I'm confused. How about applicants in Mexico to stay on the Mexico side of the border? Whoever wrote this, I think, is confused. Thank you, Toasted Network. Read my question in the chat, please. Okay. Where is your question? I'm looking up Toasted. Streamlab? 2 cents plus. Will Ranting Monkey respond if I give him money on his super chat?
What am I responding to?
I don't know. I'm scrolling up. Toasted, you should have put the question in the super chat.
What is the question? One, it's not question and answer time. So what's said in here may not get addressed. It's not about that.
Yeah.
I'm not ignoring you because there's no super chat. It's just sometimes we see things that catch our eye. Sometimes we don't. Throw your question. What is it? And I'll answer it right now. No need for any.
Monkey will keep an eye on the chat for the next minute or two. Guys, as I've said before, I've got story windows open and things, so I can't pay attention to chat as closely at this part of the show as I would, the last half hour or so. So it's not that, and occasionally I do spot something and say something, but mostly, I got other things I got to pay attention to keep things rolling. Anyway, this story doesn't tell me anything I didn't already know. Sorry. So I'll move on from that. Anyway, we're going to take a break from the snooze.
This I have an article I want to read, or just the beginning of it. And since I don't really have much for YouTube anytime, I want to take just a moment and sneak this in here.
Go ahead.
I wasn't going to do this. It just popped across my Twitter feed, actually. Vegans may make phrases like "bring home the bacon" obsolete.
Nope, they're wrong.
An academic argues that meat-based idioms like "bring home the bacon" or "putting all your eggs in one basket" could soon become obsolete because they could offend vegans and vegetarians.
Oh.
The increased awareness of vegan issues will filter through consciousness to promote new modes of expression. Shirina Z. Hamza, who received her PhD in English literature at Swansea, I forget how you say that, university.
Swansea, yeah.
Wrote in The Conversation.
Okay, before we get too far, we got two things going on. First, we got a birthday we got to deal with. Hold on a second. But also Toasted Network. Okay, Toasted Network, Scribe Light. Many of my friends liberals from college say that conservatives are just as bad when it comes to debating because Ben won't debate Kolinsky. Please tell me how to respond to them. That conservatives are just as bad when it comes to debating because Ben won't debate Kolinsky. Well, why should Ben debate Kolinsky?
What do they want him to debate on?
Yeah, I don't just as bad when it comes to debating. Okay, so first off, the idea is that conservatives aren't a hive mind. Ben Shapiro is his own person. Kyle Kolinsky is his own person. If one or the other wants or does not want to debate the other, Ben Shapiro is not representing all conservatives, and Kyle Kolinsky does not represent all liberals. So that's the first thing, is try to separate yourself from the mindset. On the other side of things, anybody can do the same thing as anybody else and justify it from their own perspective any time of the week. We do that every night when we talk about politics. So
if they're talking about when Ben challenged Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to a debate, she put that challenge out there first.
Right.
She put it. They're afraid to what was it exactly she said? They're afraid to challenge my ideas. So Ben challenged her, and she absolutely refused to have that debate. And then I saw several people go, Ben, why won't you debate me? Ben didn't offer to debate just anybody, any jackass who comes up. I'm sure Ben would be willing to debate Kyle if they had a reason to debate.
Yeah.
Ben is part of that Dave Rubin, Jordan Peterson, Eric Weinstein cabal thing that's going on there, and Sam Harris is part of that, and he's argued with men much smarter than Kyle.
And
Kyle,
sorry.
As I say, Kyle is he's not even close, and I don't even have that much respect for Sam Harris, but he's not even close to Sam Harris's league. So
the other question is, of course, how many debates has Kyle Kolinsky turned down?
Yeah.
I mean, if all it takes is like, oh, you wouldn't debate me, therefore you're a hypocrite or something, I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't matter who we're talking about in that statement. No one is obligated to debate anybody else just because they challenge them or ask. I mean, AOC may be a hypocrite for putting out the challenge and then declining the first person who who responded to that challenge. But at the same time, she's responsible for her own responses to her own challenges, but she doesn't have to debate anybody, even if she is a hypocrite. So,
Steven says Kyle wants to debate Ben. Ben is avoiding Kyle. He didn't want to debate him. Was there something specific? I mean, you brought up that Ann Coulter backed out of a debate with Kyle. I've seen Kyle. I would debate him, and I would do it after having just woke up.
But would you be woke while you did it?
No, that's why I would still win.
Okay,
because he's a contradiction.
All right, we got a birthday.
But just I know you had more questions there, Toasted. We have an actual specific time for questions, so save it till bottom half of this hour. Ask away. Whose birthday was it?
Samael.
Samael
Regent.
And I told you before I'm going to call you Sam because I don't know how to pronounce your name, but
you
Scribe just told me it's Samael.
So, say it like this. Some, like the word some.
Okay.
Male.
Samael.
Samael. There you go. Just say it all one word. Samael.
Sam, I understand it's your birthday. I hope you're out there listening. I haven't seen your name pop. Oh, there you are. You were just a little bit away. I hope that you enjoy what we're about to do. To you, for you, depends on who you ask. This one's for you, and a 1, and a 2. Happy birthday to you. Satsu. Okay.
Satsu fell asleep.
Happy birthday to you. This is where Satsu would say something clever, but he's sleeping. Happy birthday, dear Samuel. And here as well. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I hope you had a great one. You share a birthday with a wonderful lady. I don't know if you know. It is also Mama Satsu's birthday. So happy birthday to the birthday people. I hope you guys had a great birthday and that our singing made it ever much so more beautiful.
Let's see. Well, then, YouTube time. I'm going to assume, unless I hear otherwise, that Satsu will bow out of reporting today. Okay. Monkey, did you have any Monkey in the Morning streams or anything today?
First we did our game stream last night. That went pretty well.
Yes.
We had Satsu has his bot set up over there where we do things like it picks our winners for our drawing or for the games, Well, it also has the ability to set bets. And the bet last night was who would die first, Monkey or Satsu?
In real life or in the game?
In the game.
Oh, okay.
Because we started a new season, guys. We started on day 1, and so we set that bet up. People could vote up to $10,000 of their chimp change, 10,000 coins, something, whatever, 10,000 units of their chimp change. And it seemed like Satsu was going to be a lot because I kept getting my ass whipped. But in the very last moments of the stream, Satsu died to a pig.
A pig.
Now Satsu, a pig. He got screwed, y'all. He did get screwed. And but he still died, so I win.
Yay!
It was a great stream. We got so lucky with a lot of the stuff we got last night. Check that one out, guys. We'll be back tomorrow night playing again. It's pronounced the same as the hound from Hale and the Hellboy.
No, Hellboy. So in Hellboy, he has to fight this monster.
It says
called,
Hal.
Well, I don't know, but anyway, it's Samael. I mean Samael. If I remember correctly, from and correct me if I'm wrong, guys. From religious mythology, was I believe one of the fallen angels. I think or
Oh,
something,
okay,
or
yeah.
maybe a Nephilim. I don't remember exactly, but anyway, he was a religious figure that has been, the name has been sort of adopted into being a demon in several different pantheons of things, fictional or otherwise. So
I can't pronounce shit. Sam, love you, but you're Sam. Weibo says she's salty as fuck. I'm not sure why.
because she's a cracker.
She a cracker. She a Becky
Uh,
cracker. Anyway, so yeah, but I knew I was gonna have to get up early this morning, so I just did a monkey in the morning last night after that stream, so I could get some sleep and be able to go help drive my son's car back to his apartment. And then I ended up not sleeping at all until I actually got home from getting his car back to his place. So yeah, I did a monkey in the morning at about 2:00 in the morning last night.
Jesus.
That's all.
Well, I worked a little bit on a different video than the one I was working on yesterday. It is a TEDx talk. It is a woman who spends the first 5 minutes of the talk. I mean, the subject of the talk purportedly is talking about how you should combat sexist bias in the workplace, basically. She spends the first 5 minutes telling us how fucking awesome she is, you know. And by all accounts, Grant, if I take her word for it, she's a very ambitious and successful woman. She got out of college and she went right to Wall Street, and she worked her way up through all these investment banking firms and all this stuff to become a partner in a hedge fund and on board of directors. I mean, I mentioned this several times in the course of things. It's like waiting for her to get to the point of her talk. I'm kind of like, yes, we get it. You're awesome. Is this just a bragging session or is this a TEDx talk? Oh, wait, it's a TEDx talk. They're all bragging sessions. And then she says, and I'm kind of doing a spoiler alert here because it's just so ridiculous to me. She gives all this preamble about all the work that she did and how she navigated through some of the inherent sexism in the office place with being in a relatively male-centric industry and workplace. And then she got to the top of her game and all this stuff. But then she decided to drop out of the industry. And you know why she decided to drop out of the industry? Because there just weren't any female role models to tell her where to go from there. And I was like, so you reached the heights as a woman on Wall Street. And because you couldn't or did not know of a woman at or above your level to be a role model for you, you dropped out in order to become a speaker about such topics. You know, there's a phrase called be the change you want to see, because I'll tell you what, you just removed a potential role model from some other woman by dropping out at the height of things. But that was your choice. So you're contributing to the very problem you're complaining about. And throughout the course of the next couple of minutes, I haven't finished watching the whole thing. I'm kind of scripting it in real time as I watch it. This comes up again and again where she kind of complains about the fact, oh, there's no women leaders here and there's no women leaders there. And I'm like, I was like maybe it's because they're, I don't know, dropping out of the workforce to go on a speaking tour, or maybe they're raising their families or something. I mean, you did it. Why are you surprised the numbers aren't to where you'd like them, since you're contributing to the numbers? So it's one of those things where like the talk has an original sin for the argument right at the beginning. And unless she says something really, you know, dramatic in the next few minutes or whatever, that's going to carry through in every instance that she's complaining about something. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. It's running a little long. I mean, the whole talk is like 15 minutes per usual because it's TEDx. It's one of those things where it's like, I want to be a full completionist, but I don't want to necessarily make another like 40-minute video. So
I'm curious.
I'm going to meter it out as I go to see if I can cut things somewhere because of repetition. Go ahead.
In her, and this is, I guess, going to be a hypothetical question that maybe you can lend some insights to from what you've seen.
Yes.
In her estimation, the only reason men can go from whatever role she was in higher is because they have, other men to look to.
If you take her statement as a reflection of her logic,
okay,
in reality, then yes, that is the only reason there are men at or higher to where she was when she started. Also, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, finish your thought for a second.
Oh, no, it's going to be completely separate. Go ahead.
So she thinks that those other jobs are penile related. Like you can't get those jobs if you have to sit to pee or something.
There are a lot of instances in what I've watched so far where she makes a distinction that certain traits, certain difficulties, etc., are gender specific. She said at one point, the way to survive as a woman in the workplace is to have a thick skin and to pick your battles carefully. And I'm like, that's advice for business. Men aren't just you ever seen a man compete against another man for a position in a company? You want to talk about difficulty? You want to talk about having a thick skin or picking your battles? Men aren't handed success as much as you apparently think they are. And also, and here's I always know I'm in for a treat when the first example they come up with to illustrate their point of the disparity in things is when they say the Fortune 500 CEOs. I'm like, of course, because there aren't enough women CEOs in 500 companies that a magazine has chosen as the top companies, ignoring every other company in the country, whether mid-size or small, as to however many of those have female CEOs, just because they're not Apple or something. And also the 500 most competitive, high-priced, high-positioned, stressful jobs. And you know how she started out her whole entire talk? By describing herself? She said, I was different from the girls my age because I was very driven and very ambitious. And so I was like, oh, so you're already telling us that compared to other women, you are an outlier and you're wondering why there are so few women like you. It's subtle. It's little things she says. And it's like, and again, and I want to clarify, this is not a dig on women. Women make their own choices. If they go choose to have families instead of doing a CEO job, I don't blame them. I don't want a CEO job, for fuck's sake. I want to not die of a heart attack before I'm 50. As long as I can lower my stress level. These are all about personal choices. She made the personal choice to go to Wall Street and do what she did, and she was successful at it. She barely even mentions the quote unquote sexism at the workplace as being some kind of obstacle for her to become the top of the pops. But then she drops out of it by her own volition. And then what does she choose to do? She goes to school to get a master's or to study sexism in the workplace. And I'm like, what? You're proof positive that there's no glass ceiling. You got all the way to the top and you could have gone further if only you'd had a role model. Anyway, it's a very, it's one of those talks where you keep having to set little flag points in the discussion where you have to refer back and say, yeah, but you said this or you did this yourself, but you're not complaining about this. It's going to be one of those things where I'm constantly having to just take a clip of something she said before and making that my commentary, Anyway, thank you, P-Dog Knight. Woman discovers shit ain't easy, news at 11. Well, according to her story, she breezed through this stuff because of her drive and ambition. When she mentioned anything that was quote unquote sexist, it was almost like a hand wave of this happened from time to time, but I was able to compete with the boys and win. And I was like, okay, so what are we talking about? And thank you, James Colley. So she agrees with the guy who wrote the Google Diversity Manifesto. Well, this is the thing. I mean, her story would seem to be the setup for the myths about the glass ceiling and everything else are just that, myths, because I did this, I did this, I did this. I made the choices that were healthy for me to advance my career, and I had the drive and ambition to fulfill my goals. It starts out like she's going to do some kind of Tony Robbins talk on personal inspiration, but then she just veers off into this, but then I dropped out because I didn't have a role model. I'm like, but anyway. I'm kind of giving away the whole video before I even produce it. But those of you that watch the show, you've got a free preview. Granted that I decided to finish it because it is a slog, because it's fucking TEDx. And why do I do TEDx? Because I'm a goddamn mental masochist. That's why. Anyway.
All right.
And now Tartan Witch has sent me a video link that says, the creative act of listening to a talking frog.
What?
Is that a comment on my voice? Is that what you're telling me? Is it a creative act to listen to me talk? That'd be impressive. I'd be interested by that. Anyway, that's my long YouTube report because we got plenty of time. But that's all done. Monkey, do you have any internet fucketry?
Not really. I mean, the AveNot thing was my it's what I saw when I first woke up, and I enjoyed it so much. There is one other thing, and I'm fairly certain I can't share this publicly or on the stream to show it to people, so I have to describe it.
Okay.
Well, I'll just read the tweet. It's from Rachel Bloom. It says, "Happy Hanukkah. Here's our custom-made labia menorah."
Oh, right.
And yeah, it's a little... it's a pussy menorah for Hanukkah.
Well,
why?
Because it's
a menorah. Yeah, I get the wording.
Oh, Gregory Hurst had a super chat. Sorry, Gregory, it's zip up. So it's impossible to be the first at anything. Apparently, for her, somehow, by dropping out before you get there, I suppose. And I also said in there somewhere in my script, I said, she said, "Oh, there's only 23 female CEOs in the Forbes 500." And I was like, yeah, and there might have been 24 if you hadn't quit. Anyway.
I also had one from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that I actually missed 2 days ago, and somebody brought it to my attention yesterday. This woman's not smart. She is not smart. And I know I keep banging on that drum. This woman's a fucking retard. Anyway,
yes.
Here is her tweet.
Okay.
$21 trillion of Pentagon financial transactions, quote, could not be traced, documented, or explained. 21 trillion in, excuse me, 21 trillion in Pentagon cost. God damn it. I'm gonna try that one more time, shall I? 21 trillion in Pentagon accounting errors. Medicaid for all cost $32 trillion. This means 66% of Medicare for all could have been funded already by the Pentagon, and that's before our premiums. She was answering somebody who asked her how the fuck they were going to pay for her idea of Medicare for all. Now, even with her misunderstanding of what's going on with that missing, I'm using air quote, missing Pentagon money, that's still $11 trillion unaccounted for.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 3 full years of the entire federal fucking budget, which is about $4 trillion a year right now. She thinks that we can pay for Medicare for all with some missing money, again, quotes, because that money's not missing. They didn't account for it. It was already appropriated, sent to the various agencies and stuff that spent it. They didn't take care of the money, the receipts that they don't have their receipts, y'all. That's what it is. It's not like they just want, we got $21 trillion here. What should we do with it? No, it's not like that. It's not like there's $21 trillion sitting in a vault somewhere that Scrooge McDuck is swimming through at the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't understand how this shit works.
Well, I have some very interesting fucketry that happened to me today.
What you got?
So I'm going to, this is a Twitter conversation or a thread, and I'm going to read it in chronological order. So this started with a comment made by Skeptor. If you guys know who Skeptor is, he's a YouTube content creator. He's also, in a way, in a very direct way, one of the inspirations for some of the ways I do my content. He has this, and I don't know if he still keeps up with it, but he has this playlist. He had the series he was doing for a while called the TEDx Horror Show, where he do essentially that. He'd take a TEDx talk that struck him as interesting and critique it. And I so enjoyed that style of stuff, him and Hagbard Celine and stuff like that. He's one of the inspirations for some of how I do my stuff in a broad sense. Anyway, he posted this today. I challenge someone to print something like, quote, white-only bathroom, separate but equal, and put it in a public domain and take a pic and or video.
Okay.
And I say, inciting a hate crime, I see. And he says, not at all. Separate but equal is a very progressive idea. And I said, college campuses tell me this is so. And he says, and if the black organizations and campuses say this is so, who are we to say it's racist? And I said, our perspective on racism is blinded by the light of privilege reflected off of our white skin. And then someone, so thank you for your sided coin. This is not computer money, it's hookers and blow money. Thank you. I'll appreciate that when I get around to the hookers and the blow. So then someone else, a completely separate person comes in who has read our previous comments. And apparently, and this is the no critique of them, I don't know who they are, didn't understand it was sarcasm. And so they say, so segregation is only racist when white people do it? And I said, you're putting it too plainly. White supremacy can only be dismantled by denying white privilege from invading spaces of color and bodies of color. And then he says, so you're saying exactly what I said, just using more words. You're saying only white people can be racist. In both cases, you're wrong. And I say, no. It's not about racism. It's an acknowledgement of the real power dynamics that are endemic to the culture of white supremacy. The oppressed cannot thrive unless you reduce the potency of the oppressor.
Okay.
So, and let's see, where's the thing here? Hold on. Where'd it go? Okay, and then somebody else said, oh wait, no, hold on. Make sure I got this right here. I want to get this. Okay, so it's only racist when the white man does it, because white men are the most powerful people in the country. Let us forget Obama for a moment when we say that. It's completely about racism. And finally, I kind of pull the plug and I say, I'm flattered I came across as legitimate in parroting the rhetoric of the regressive left. What began as a mutual sarcasm with Skeptor evolved to a bit of friendly trolling. One more, here's a shameless plug of something that inspired me to my wokeness, and I posted a link to one of my videos. I was really like, I was enjoying being a Poe for a minute there, you know?
Gotcha.
And I was actually kind of surprised because I did all of that off the cuff. I actually was referencing back to a lot of the rhetoric I've heard and a lot of the videos I've done to sort of come up with that garbage. But as I read it back after I posted, I thought, you know, if I didn't know any better, if I didn't know that I posted that, I could see someone completely understanding that as being a legitimate argument on the other side of the aisle, let's say. Because it sounds exactly like, you know, what I hear people say on TEDx or all these other things. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of scary, you know, that that's that easy to sort of come up with this mumbo jumbo. I could make a career out of it if I wasn't an honest person, you know, so. Anyway, Gregor Hurst says, so you stole Skeptor's shtick. Got it. No, I didn't steal Skeptor's shtick. I was just really entertained by, I mean, I'd seen commentary videos before, but I didn't know that TEDx existed until I saw the Skeptor videos or some of the early Sargon stuff. And it just seems, it's such a fertile ground of different people with different ideas. I mean, I watch some TEDx and some TED stuff that I like. There's some good ones out there, you know, about actual science. Or there was one that from years ago that I think was James Randi did, the guy who debunks all the psychics and all that. He did one, and that was really interesting. So I'm not against TEDx or TED as an institution per se, but I'll tell you, it never stops being a interesting font of things to look at. Anyway, do we have any other fucketry or any deep topics for 5 minutes? Or
nothing that comes. I'm scrolling to see if I missed anything else, but yeah, I haven't been very active on the Twitters lately.
Well, that's because you've been resting and taking care of your family, which is more important.
Because we talked about that idiot Pete Davidson last night, right? We talked about that right at the end.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, I have nothing else.
I'll give one more breaking news thing. Do you remember Les Moonves?
Yes. CBS.
The now former CEO of CBS. Les Moonves obstructed investigation into misconduct claims, report says. Facing multiple sexual misconduct allegations and fearing his career as an entertainment titan was over, Leslie Moonves, the chief executive of CBS, destroyed evidence and misled investigators in an attempt to preserve his reputation and save a lucrative severance deal, according to a draft of a report prepared for the company's board. The report, by lawyers hired by the network, says the company has justification to deny Mr. Moonves his $120 million severance. Mr. Moonves resigned as one of Hollywood's most successful and celebrated executives for decades before being forced to step down in September after allegations by numerous women. I read the word reigned as resigned because my mind was in the whole thing. He reigned as one of Hollywood's most successful and celebrated executives before having to step down. Let's see. The report, a copy of which was reviewed by the New York Times, says Mr. Moonves, quote, engaged in multiple acts of serious non-consensual sexual misconduct in and out of the workplace, both before and after he came to CBS in 1995. Okay. So all that time and no one said anything or it never came up. I think CBS has more problems than just Moonves then. Anyway.
I don't remember the specific charges against him.
Let's see if they get down to it. Get down on it? No. Let's see. Investigators wrote that they had found that Mr. Moonves, quote, received oral sex from at least 4 CBS employees under circumstances that sound transactional and improper to the extent that there was no hint of any relationship, romance, or reciprocity, especially given what we know about his history of more or less forced oral sex with women with whom he has no ongoing relationship. Okay, lawyers were not able to speak directly with these women, but determined that, quote, such a pattern arguably constitutes willful misfeasance and violation of the company's sexual harassment policy. So without even interviewing the people who made the allegations, that's enough for you to... I mean, Moonves could be a complete slime for all I know, but, and I understand this isn't a criminal proceeding, this is an internal company thing, but okay.
He got blowjobs that he didn't go down on her for, and he didn't have relationships with these women, therefore guilty.
At least for the sake of losing his severance.
Yeah, but I mean, is that what I just heard?
That's apparently what I've read, is that
I'm just making sure that it went into my brain the way I think it did.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
investigators, sorry.
Guys, sometimes women blow guys. Would you have felt better if he'd like tossed her $100 afterwards?
Investigators wrote that they had received multiple reports about a network employee who was on call to perform oral sex on Mr. Moonves. Quote, a number of employees were aware of this and believed that the woman was protected from discipline or termination as a result of it, the lawyers wrote. Moonves admitted to receiving oral sex from the woman, his subordinate, in his office, but described it as consensual. The woman did not respond to the investigators' requests for an interview. Okay, again, I don't know, but it sounds like they're taking office gossip, more or less, and I mean, again, this isn't a criminal proceeding, so there's not really any
Sure,
laws
but
being violated per se. Thank you, James Colley. Have these people not heard of one-time things? I don't know. This is all very strange to me.
with this last part, it sounds. I'm sorry. Exactly. Jacqueline just said it. Sounds like jealousy. Like, oh, that bitch can't be fired because she be sucking off the boss. By the way, I've heard that at places I've worked, and there was no truth to it. And I'm not talking about towards me, but like, there was one girl. Many of us like, I have no idea how that woman has a job because she's
Right.
a fucking moron. And the joke was that yeah, she went around blowing the management staff. Like, no.
All right.
Yeah, sounds like jealousy. You guys wanted her job, and she got to suck the boss's dick. Try harder.
But with that, as a great way to end the first half of the hour, we are on to chat time. So, guys, if you have questions, comments, complaints, conspiracy theories, if you have office gossip that you will not actually name your office but want to tell us anyway, just for the sake of fun, by all means. And if you have questions for us directly, please put plenty of question marks afterwards in your comment so that we know it's for us. Remember, tomorrow night, per usual, will be on Monkey's channel at the regular time. And tomorrow night after that, you guys are doing 7 Days to Die again?
Yes.
Okay, that'll be tomorrow night. Oh, who ended up winning Mad Max the other night?
That is an excellent question.
I'm asking Monkey. What do I know?
We mentioned it the other day. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Maybe you did, and I didn't hear it or something. Then
I know Ramen should have won it, but we have a 5-minute rule. You have to tell us when you get in there. You have to let us know. You got 5 minutes that you're there, and you didn't. So you had to pick another winner.
Bad Comic Review says, was E. coli created by the meat industry to wipe out the vegan community? No, because the first time I ever heard of E. coli was when there was an outbreak at Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box, yep.
Yep, and Jack in the Box burgers were full of E. coli, and like some kid died, I think, as a result. So that was a big deal. And sort of like Tylenol, after the whole Tylenol poisoning thing happened in the 80s, I think it was. Afterwards, Tylenol became the safest packaging on the planet for its products. And likewise, Jack in the Box, at the time at least, became the cleanest fast food place on the planet just as a matter of PR. So let's see. Ebony Williams says, Monkey, how is your son? So those that weren't here for the update at the top of the show.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm leaning way back. If you can't hear me, I'll try to speak up.
You're fine.
He's
Sore,
but doing well. Last I heard, he was playing Red Dead Redemption 2. He told me because I gave it to him when I first got there. It's like, dude, something for you to do while you're laid up. We got back to his place, and his mom went out to. God, she's in such mother mode, guys. It is so cute to watch. Because her baby had to have surgery. So she ran out and made sure he had all the food he needs, all the drinks he needs, anything he needed. Even stuff he didn't need. Mommy made sure he had it. But I left me and him there, at the house. We were watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia together. And he goes, Dad, I'm probably not even going to get to play that because this is finals weeks for him.
Yeah.
Finals week for him. And
that's not going anywhere.
I'll probably not even get to be able to get to it. And then, let's see, we left there at about noon. I woke up from my nappy thing I had today. And at 5, he was installing the game.
Yeah.
And then at 7, I got a thing. And now I'm playing it. I get to shoot up people. I'm like, have fun, buddy.
Let's see. Flair Fritz says, Monkey Satsu, you guys see the trailer for the next forest update being released on the 8th. It's adding a new enemy, a recycled enemy, crossbows, gliders, and new decorations.
They're updating the forest? That game is done.
I know. I don't know. Maybe it's got... I've seen a lot of people streaming it lately. I think maybe the disappointment in 76 has other people running back to... survival games they liked and they got a boost or something.
The Forest is a really good game, guys. There is a problem with that game though. If you try to play it like a survival game, you can play for a long time, build massive structures and all that. But you really don't have to. You could probably beat that game in about say 5 hours if you just went and did the just the storyline mode of it.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to make it longer, add more to it, that's fine. But like adding new weapons when you really don't, that it seems like a waste of update. But cool.
It's just padding to something that's pretty much a linear progression.
Yeah, I'd much rather see them do like a DLC to it, whether paid or not. Just a different part of the story or a different survivor, or even making it where there's. I don't want to give away the story at all, so I'm trying to be very coy about this. Just made it so there was a reason for you to stay on the island longer than you actually have to.
Or you crash on another island or something. Let's see. Three-Sided Coin says, conspiracy theory, the Titanic never sunk. It was a ploy. Sure.
To do what?
Yeah, that's the next part. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Toast Network, Ranting Monkey, they say that Ann Coulter and Steven Crowder dodged a debate with Sam Cedar. They're also saying I'm retarded for saying that liberals are more afraid to debate. And okay, again, you got to get away from the groupthink hive mind thing.
Yeah.
Focus on individuals. Liberals aren't afraid to debate at all. Conservatives aren't afraid to debate at all. Neither are liberals always willing to debate, and conservatives are always willing to debate. Focus on individuals. That's the first and foremost thing. And then, again, no one is required to debate anybody else unless you're running for president. But even then, conceivably you could decline debating somebody. I mean, if you're just going to play like, point scoring with which one of your favorite debaters did or didn't do a thing, you could be there all day. And there's no winning that. That's not a debate you can win at that point. Trying to use someone else vicariously to prove your point. I don't.
Yeah. So a couple of people have dodged debates. I mean. Scribe's absolutely right. Get away from the partisanship of it. If you want to talk about specific people, do that.
Yeah. Doing away with the tribalism and the groupthink sort of argument is a very smart thing to do in this day and age, because it makes that kind of shorthand makes anybody sound like a genius when
you're having arguments about people who won't argue. Let that sink in.
Pyrus Creed says, do you think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be stupid enough to try and run in 2020?
She can't. She won't.
No, I don't.
She'll be too young.
You have to be at least 35. I just looked this up today for other reasons. 35. Yeah. You have to have spent at least 14 years in the country or resided here for 14 years, and you have to be a natural-born citizen. So she will reach those requirements, presumably, but just not for a few years.
Yeah, I think she can run. I want to say it's 2028 will be when she's eligible.
Okay. Quinn the Angry says, is the moon actually made of cheese?
Yes, it's a conspiracy they don't want you to know about.
Yes, that's why the Titanic was sunk. I'm not going to explain how those two things connect. Attic Rat says, you guys see clips of Joey Behar going off on Meghan McCain? No, I saw Splinter mention something about it on a tweet, but I haven't seen the video.
No, I didn't even hear about it.
Let's see. Raymond Lewis, All You Need won the Mad Max game. Okay, good.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, All You Need. I liked it. I like the Mad Max universe for the most part. Even Thunderdome to a smaller, lesser degree. But yeah, Road Warrior and Fury Road, and of course the original are all really good. They're all really different movies, but I like them, and I like the whole setting and some of the storyline. There's a really great documentary on YouTube about how that game isn't part of the Mad Max canon and how it was made and how it contains elements from scripts that have not yet been produced for Mad Max movies, because the rights to the game got separated from the guy who makes the movies. Very interesting story of how rights and corporations and everything works. I wish I could remember the title of it, but if you search for like Mad Max game documentary, you might be able to find it. Let's see. Random American says, what will the next clickbait title for Monkey in the Morning be?
There's just no next. There's no next. There's never been one. What will the next title be? It'll depend on what I see when I go to make the title.
You know, it should be this is Random American's title. Moonshock, Scribe, which is best for tasty holiday gift? Peppermint bark or saltine toffee crack?
What were the choices?
Peppermint bark
Oh, yuck.
or saltine toffee crack.
Of
the two?
Well, I don't like mint and chocolate, so that automatically.
Yeah, Monkey's a communist, so I've never been convinced that putting salt on sweet things is always that great myself.
It depends. It really does.
It really does depend. It's a very, very narrow window of what'll work for me on that score. So if I only had to pick between the two, I'd pick the peppermint bark. Yes. Let's see. Cynical Lindsay says, "What is your favorite cheese?" Gouda, because it's good.
Spray.
Yeah, Monkey likes his aerosol cheese.
Look, I like cheeses. I do, but my favorite is spray cheese on a cracker. I ain't even gonna lie about it. I'm okay with it. And if you don't think it's cheese, you're just wrong.
Jim Gila says, "Monkey, will that stop her from trying though?" Talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Maybe she'll announce it and then be told the reality and get pissed on Twitter.
I think she already got some pushback from when she made it sound like she might run eventually, and people took that to mean that she'd be running in 2020.
Let's see. Random American says, "Monkey, have you pushed out the new hashtag yet?" The new hashtag. I don't know what that is.
Well, that's for Monkey in the Morning. We have a hashtag for stories as well.
No.
It is hashtag MITAM. Which turns out to also be it turns out to be a hashtag that's already used for the band One Direction. They have an album that has that in it.
I see. It is. Abbreviation.
Yeah, and we saw that and like, oh hell yeah, we're taking this one.
I'm sorry, guys. Chat jumped on me. Harvos Marvo says, "Why do you think Trump will actually win in 2020? And what do you think makes him a bad president besides decorum? Because that's bullshit when you get down to it." Why do I think he will actually win? Well, I mean, it all depends on how the Democrats approach their campaign, who they pick, and how they focus their energy. If they just focus their energy on telling people that Trump is bad, we've been hearing that nonstop since he announced, it's not a winning strategy. If they focus on issues and draw contrast between what they're doing and the current administration's policies without getting into a personal scuffle with Trump, they may have a better chance, because Trump can't deny his record if they can show how it has been detrimental and how they'll do it better. I mean, it's how they approach it is where Trump is going to have to fire back from. Because if he goes off into La La Land, off the ranch on personal stuff, and they follow him, they'll be going onto his turf. So it all depends on how they decide to do it. But like Chris Eliza said, and I don't completely disagree with him, if the Democrats don't treat Trump like Lex Luthor, then they may lose the confidence of their base, and their base might fracture off into other places, going to the Green Party or the Libertarians or something. So that's why I think Trump has a better chance of winning, but it all depends on the strategy they take. I'll get to the bad stuff after. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, one, historically, it's very hard to unseat an incumbent. So Trump has that going for him, even with negative numbers.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like 2018, where you also have a bunch of disinterested voters, people who might have even been loud and stuff on Twitter, but who like, I'm not going to vote. It's fucking Congress. I don't care. People pay a lot more attention to the presidential election for some reason, which is stupid. You should pay attention to both.
Yeah.
I just think that there's this concept of fatigue among politicians. Oh, there's just like Trump fatigue or Clinton fatigue or Obama fatigue. There's also the notion of fatigue against that person.
Yes.
The opposition fatigue. And I really think that, another year of this shit and it's going to be sinking in. To the point the other day, yesterday we had that fucking asshole from CBS. He only spent a few moments there.
Yes.
Saluting the dead president. Yeah. So anyway, you were going to say about what makes him good or bad.
What makes him a bad president? Besides decorum? Well, I think decorum's a lot of it, but okay. I don't think decorum is a bullshit excuse, honestly. Broadcasting every little notion or thought in his head on Twitter every day, making his staff having to run around with their heads cut off like chickens, trying to cover or try to make up for the inconsistencies in his statements or his policies, his sort of tantrum-like decisions when it comes to firing people or bringing people on. It just seems like, and I'm sure they're going to be tell-all books, because I don't disbelieve some of the people that have come out of the White House talking about how chaotic it is there, how high school and childish a lot of things are going on in there, and of the leaks that we've seen that haven't been completely denied. It doesn't sound like he and his administration are being efficient or being wise in some of their decisions. They seem very reflexive. Doesn't seem to be a lot of consideration going on. Now, he has been saved, I think, by some of his advisors telling him to take this tact or to not speak about this and that kind of thing. And whether or not he chooses to listen to them, I don't know. But I let me just put it this way. I do not believe, I've been shown nothing to think that there's anything near professional stability going on in the administration, and that anything that turns up roses right now might just be because other people are being cautious and it's going good in some places. Does that make sense? Monkey?
Sure.
No, I'm asking because I'm kind of babbling there. I'm trying to like, it's one of those things where you got all these like thoughts going on in your head. You're trying to articulate them in some clear fashion. I don't even know if I did it right.
Well, no, to be honest, that's part of it. I was following you early on, and I
think I lost my train.
The part I don't necessarily think decorum is a problem. I think his is a problem. If we had a president who once in a while dropped an F-bomb, I wouldn't care. If every once in a while Obama's giving a speech and somebody shouted something out and he went, oh, fuck that guy, I would not care. The problem is what you were saying about Trump, though. He would go out there and tweet something and then the whole White House have to figure out, okay, how can we make the lie he just said true? And it's not that he means to lie, I don't think. It's just that he gets mad and he runs to Twitter to say something. And that is a bad sign for him. As far as how he actually does the job, I don't have much of a problem with it. It's his presentation that leaves a shit ton to be desired, and that is a valid reason not to like the man. If you don't, I don't like or dislike Trump. I think sometimes he needs to shut the fuck up, but.
So Harvest Marvel says, but Scribe Light, you just had to think of something bad about his presidency. Instead, you defend your dislike of his decorum. I hate to tell you this. How he behaves is part of his presidency.
Yeah.
How he projects his power, how he projects his representation of the country to the rest of the world by being our leader, elected leader, is part of his presidency. His comments become policy to a degree when he says them. And if his comments are fueled by his decorum or lack thereof, or his tantrums or his behavior, there's nothing for our allies, either abroad or domestic, not to think that he means what he says. He's not a private citizen anymore. This is when the man becomes conjoined with the office, And he doesn't have any caution, it seems, to understand the weight of his words now versus when he was a game show host. And that is a big problem for me because it directs his presidency, it directs his administration, that mindset and that behavior. So if I dwell on his decorum and how he expresses himself, and you don't think that's a big deal, I don't know what to tell you. I think it is. I think it is a big deal because he sets the tone for the whole shebang. And he's the one that has to deal with other countries. He's the one that our politicians have to deal with to get anything done. So yeah, as far as like specific policies, God, it'd take me a long time to think about that one. I haven't seen anything done yet that he either didn't promise he was going to do or that I would consider to be either illegal or otherwise. A lot of the things that he has promoted policy-wise, on a legal basis, I haven't had a problem with. And of course, part of the thing that helps him along is how the media and the left wing take anything he does and turn it into something diabolical rather than just maybe objectionable, if that makes any sense. So like the travel ban, the restriction on certain countries becomes a Muslim ban. And that's how it's known, even though that's not what it does. The fact that he was calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man at one point, and he was criticized for stoking the flames of war. And then when he starts talking to him, he's criticized for chumming up to dictators. You know, there's a lot of instances where it's like there's nothing he can do that isn't evil no matter what, because you got to say anything he's doing is bad. That gives him, unfortunately, a lot of cachet of things because they're characterizing it incorrectly, despite, and that is like to say, he acts like a child, but then he makes a policy decision that, taken on its own, isn't necessarily that insane. But I don't know. Anyway, I just didn't want a game show host for president because I knew that would cause a whole bunch of bullshit. And this is the kind of bullshit we're seeing, with nothing getting done and it all turning into a big reality show. And I know I'm an idealist. I hope for more out of my presidents and my countrymen and my representatives and everything. But, you know, what can I say? The cynicism requires hope. I still have it, despite everything else. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I things skipped a bit. That wasn't a question. Let's see. Random American says, his lack of decorum is a tactic to distract the media. You know, I just like with Obama, I don't credit anybody with playing four-dimensional chess. Most people, you know, I wrote stories in college and people would come up to me and tell me about my brilliance of using this whatever as a metaphor for that. And I'd just nod and say, well, I'm glad you spotted that. I never intended it, but I'm glad you spotted it. A lot of people can read a lot of things into things people do unintentionally. So let's see. What are we getting here? Oh, I'm looking. So that was the problem. I had top chat on, not live chat. Sorry, guys. Data Wasteland. Have you heard the internet fuckatry drama with Black Pigeon Speaks versus Kraut? No.
I have not. What's going on? Okay, now I guess I got to look it up. Is it on Twitter's or is it on YouTube's?
Let's see. Your boy Pat says, looks like on Twitter I've already angered an atheist with my last video. Sad when all they did was prove my point. Yeah. Toasted Network says, I just found I found out my girlfriend is actually married. What should I do?
I don't believe you. You were telling us the other day that you were hitting on your roommate's mom.
Let's see. Raz Dazzler says, at least Trump doesn't dress up as offensive caricatures. What's that in reference to? That must be missing.
I don't know.
Like Rudy Giuliani dressing up in a dress that one time. Let's see. Moonshock says, Black Pigeon Speaks made a new channel, Navy Hado, in which he is going to make videos that aren't as serious as his Black Pigeon Speaks channel. Okay.
And why does that cause
I don't know. I haven't paid attention. So I haven't paid attention to Black Pigeon Speaks in, I would say a couple of years now. And as far as Kraut, I think I watched his, like, I've returned to the internet video when he came back from his hiatus, but I haven't kept up on what's going on with him for quite a while either.
The only time I've ever, and I do mean ever, watched Black Pigeon Speaks is when I first got onto YouTube. Several people asked me if I was him. They said, "You sound just like him," and I went and listened. I'm like, "No, I don't."
I haven't heard his voice in so long. I couldn't tell if they had a point or not.
That is the only time I've ever watched Black Pigeon Speaks. But I see, looking this up, he has a video called Crouten T, the Paranoid Photographer, a Response. I have no idea what this is in reference to.
Faithless says Kraut defamed Pigeon and called him a liar. What? Someone calling somebody else a liar on the internet? What? In a 20-minute video. Oh, okay. Samael Regent says, do you think American audiences would appreciate a self-deprecating centrist Frenchman's outside perspective on U.S. political fucketry, considering starting a YouTube channel offering that? Go right ahead. I mean, as I say of my own life, more often than not, I am my own worst witness. So, in whatever bubble I live in, and we all live in a bubble of one form or another, I'm certainly not the best perspective on my own country. Of course, truth be told, except in some limited capacities, I don't pay attention to most other countries unless something horrible's going on there. So, I'm not much of a commentator on other countries' problems, except for maybe Britain, sort of, just because I pay a little bit of attention to that. But
yes, I'm reading through these comments, trying to see if I can pick up anything. It looks like your standard drama fare.
Okay.
I may or may not check it. I don't care about Trout. I really don't.
Bad Comic Review says, if Klansmen wear Egyptian cotton sheets, are they hypocrites? No, they're committing cultural appropriation. Let's see. Gregor Hurst, can we get someone to cover YouTube drama like an ad for a soap opera complete with organ music cues? You should throw that suggestion off to Keemstar. He's already got the infrastructure to do that kind of thing.
Keemstar released a few minutes ago on Twitter a video of him in Red Dead 2 online.
Yeah.
Trying to lasso somebody and failing repeatedly. Like, man, you suck at that game.
So it's kind of like, God, who was it? Was it GameStop or something? I forget it was, or Game Informer. When the new Doom came out, and there was a demo that came out, and one of the gaming magazines or gaming outlets had a video of them playing it, and they were so terrible, and it was embarrassing. Let's see.
I had to tell Lady Monkey today, I may need to step away from Red Dead Online. It is bringing out the worst part of me as a gamer. I used to play a lot of competitive games, and I was bad. Very bad.
Jack Gunsky says, hey, chat, we'll be playing Quiplash tonight. Go to my channel if you want to play along in the audience. So, guys, if you want to go watch some Quiplash, go look up Jack Gunsky, all one word, up on the YouTube machine, and check it out after the show. Disturbing Zen says, do you think that if I walk without rhythm and put down a thumper, I can avoid my leftist relatives?
Huh?
I think he's making a Dune reference. I avoid them. I don't know what situation you're going to encounter them. I wouldn't avoid your relatives. Just don't bring up politics. I always love those comments that were made before Thanksgiving. It's like, how to have some uncomfortable conversations at the Thanksgiving table. And I was just like, how about not? How about just eat food and enjoy each other's company rather than talking about stuff you don't want to talk about? Why do you have to have an uncomfortable conversation at the dinner table? I always love those. I see a lot of professors saying that. It's like, I warn my students before the semester begins that they will be uncomfortable, but that it's good for them. Like, oh, God damn it. let's see. 1 minute warning, guys, which means probably by the time I won't have any time to say anything else. Although I have heard that if you walk without rhythm, then you won't attract the worm. But Fat Boy Slim told me that, so take it with a grain of salt. Okay, guys, with that, we're going to come to an end for the night. Sorry for the long, rambling soliloquy, such as it was about President Trump's decorum. I know I completely lost the plot there. I'm getting a little tired after the day, so...
Shit happens. You don't got to apologize for that.
You know, I like to make sense even to myself, and when I don't make sense even to myself, I figure I'm probably doing somebody else an even greater disservice. So there you go. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us, as you always do. You are the greatest audience in the world, in the universe, in Red Dead Redemption. Where does that take place? Is that like Arizona or something?
I'm not sure the state.
Or they even like just sort of generic Western frontier territory kind of
thing.
Well,
they reference like real cities and stuff. Like they mentioned like going to New York at one point.
Yeah.
But the land you're in, I don't know if it's a real place or not.
Okay. Well, side quest. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Thanks, moderators, for keeping an eye on things, even though we have the best behaved chat in YouTube, on the universe, in the world. Monkey, Satsu. Oh, sorry. I'm all ahead of myself. And everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Now then, Monkey and Satsu. Thank you for joining me as always, and I really do hope both of you in your various ways get well soon and feel better.
Oh, me too.
Happy birthday again to Mama Satsu and to Samael. It's because Mama Satsu is special. And everyone, again, we'll see you tomorrow night on Monkey's channel. But until then, your lives make us sad, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
See you, everybody.
Today's secret word is lozenge.